Welcome everyone to another episode of the Plastic Cards Podcast, show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name is Fonzie, and I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev extraordinaire. He's currently stocking up on White Claw seltzers, Gavin Jones. Yes, I did. Did you see they have a nationwide outage that they're reporting? They're like running out of White Claws. Yeah. So it's hot girl summer, so everyone's stocking up on those. You haven't heard that?
I want to be hot girl summer.
Yes. I did. I saw that, and then recently we were at Fred Meyer's, and there was like a huge stack of them. It's like, okay, we go here if we actually run out of those seltzers. But me and Megan have been drinking a lot of them. They're pretty good.
I wonder if it just hasn't affected here yet.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you can see like online, there's like a wave of like outages. Eventually, we'll get to here.
I remember that happened when Beardfish Head, whatever that one.
Oh, okay.
Dogfish Head.
Yeah.
Beardfish Head. Got their own reality show. All of a sudden, their shit just disappeared off of every shelf. We couldn't even get it at our distributor.
Oh, I thought for a second you were talking about the duck calling reality show.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Dogfish Head with the 90-minute, 60-minute IPA. The king of hangovers, Dogfish Head.
Yikes. Okay. It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Get the fuck out of here. How's your week?
Man, I am fucking dead right now.
Yeah. You mentioned that it was like last week. It's gonna ramp up to where they're just beating you over the head.
Last week wasn't that bad.
Okay.
We had it was just it was a chill week, which I thank Christ. It was a chill week, and then it was my one weekend of the year, which I had to work because my company put on a conference, and so I put in. I feel like it's probably a normal amount of hours for this time, but from like Friday to Sunday on just that time card, I put in like 20 hours. So no weekend, just going right back into it. We worked long hours.
In 2 days, 20 hours?
No, in 3 days.
Okay.
So that's pretty, that's not quite 8 hours per day.
Gotcha.
But it was like a 10.5 hour day on Sunday.
If you carry the one, I think it might be 8 hours actually going.
Yeah. But Sunday was 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And
yikes.
We were doing some pretty hard physical labor. So I'm just fucking done. So the second we get out of this, I'm going to go home and just pass the fuck out. Everyone at work today was like, are you awake? And they're like, no. Are you awake? No. We're just constantly drinking coffee. Actually, so small story that I'll dive into really quickly. 6:30 Sunday, everyone's dog tired from the day before, and we woke up very early, and we're all in this conference listening to some speeches. And everyone's just guzzling coffee. And we all come to the conclusion that this coffee is fucking decaf.
Oh. Or like you just realized or was...
Everyone there is just like, are you feeling awake? And
it's
like, no, this is doing jack. And like today, I was also about that tired. And I could feel when my coffee gave me just like a little bit of relief.
Okay.
And so I'm like, that had to be decaf.
Why? Why would you do that?
Some people just want to...
watch the world burn.
Watch the world burn. Despite the fact that we paid them like $30,000 to cater the thing for the weekend for 3 days.
You didn't specify caffeinated coffee.
I
imagine at some point where people just like rubbing it in their face trying to get some of the caffeine out of there.
I finally did. We went to we all sprinted to the coffee girl afterwards, and I was just like, "Can you just inject heroin as an upper, right? Can you just right into the veins?" She's like, "No, but I can do a mixed Monster because they're weird and don't have Red Bull there like all the cool kids."
Yeah, I got you.
So I finally tried a flavored Red Bull, and I don't really get the hype. I assume so much of the hype in this area is because you can get them at the
like drive-through coffee shops.
All I can think of is the word stripper. The stripper.
Coffee shops, they're like burlesque or
burlesque. Yeah, the burlesque. Coffee shops, which
is apparently only like a Northwest thing.
Yeah. Well, the coffee being able to find like a coffee shack on every corner is a Pacific Northwest thing. Right. People don't know how good we have it here with coffee. But
which is one of those morning things where you think to remove you having to get out of your car, that should be a no-brainer everywhere, where it's a drive-through, grab it and drive away thing.
It blows my mind that people aren't constantly injecting coffee into themselves quite like we. I just thought that was normal.
Well, do you know what Adderall is?
Right.
That's kind of like just a socially acceptable upper. Like I feel like people do that all the time, and they're just always ready to go.
Is it?
But apparently, I feel like you can drop Adderall, and people are like, "Oh, it's a big deal," but it's not. It's basically like controlled methamphetamines, but you can't do that. But you can do Adderall and everything.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a amphetamine, but
yeah.
So we did that. Plus, she put some bath salts in there as well.
There you go.
So it does. I don't know what it does. Everyone told me it like takes it to 11, and it looks like actual like what you put in a bath salts. And I'm like, okay, well.
Wait, are you joking, or you actually?
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, they
it's
threw
not
it in
bath
there.
salts.
It looks like bath salts.
Did
but
you
it's
peel
not
off your
bath salts.
coworker's face? If not, that's not bath salts.
No, it's not that kind of bath salts.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of, because there was that scare a couple years ago where people were doing that. They were like eating each other.
They
off
thought
bath
it was
salts.
a new drug that was being called bath salts.
Yeah,
but it was actually just meth or something.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But yes, how was your weekend? How you doing? Have you been playing anything?
I played a little bit of some video games. I played Creature in the Well. That was
a
like
pinball game?
Yeah. It's a Games Pass game. I think it's on Switch too.
Oh, really?
But it's dope. I just played maybe an hour and a half, but it's really, really cool. And I suck at pinball, so it made me feel like, man, I've always missed out, like watching people play pinball and losing instantly when I play it.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Same here. I could never transfer the movements into like what I'm doing, but granted, it's a video game, but it gives you that same sense of you're hitting stuff, it's reacting, but there's a whole mechanic to it as well. I would like you to actually try it and kind of get your feel on it, but it's really dope.
I just don't think. I think the only pinball game I've ever been good at was Pokemon Pinball, and that had some pretty heavy, like, we're helping you out here because we know you're 6, and I could have been at the time.
There's like a booster seat you have to get on to play it.
Yeah.
Well, this one, I mean, it is like there's pinball-esque stuff to it, but really you're using this combat to then hit, these like these objects around. So there's like this puzzle mechanic to it. So I mean, it's not heavy on pinball. It's just like that's kind of the elevator pitch to it. But there's a lot more going on. It's just that aspect to it when you're like hitting stuff But it's really cool. It's more like a beat 'em up kind of thing, but still puzzle mixed in there. And the art style is really cool too. Cool. I like it. I really like it. I did try to play Gears, but I didn't realize that it comes out tonight, not last Tuesday. But you can pre-download it.
That does kind of suck that Gears and Borderlands are essentially coming out at the same time.
Pretty much. I mean, Gears today or tomorrow, and then Borderlands next Tuesday, and they're huge games.
No, it's on the 13th.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it a Friday?
Isn't the 13th like Wednesday?
That's a Friday. It's the Friday releases always throw me off. Yeah, I'm used to like Tuesday increments, but yeah, you're right. It's a Friday.
I'm thinking Wednesday because I have a thing on Wednesday. Okay.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like I can't afford.
No. Luckily, I have the Games Pass thing, and so it's like with Gears, it's a Games Pass game. This one was too, so that kind of helps like just get some of these games early on. But
it is kind of strange though with Borderlands because when the original Borderlands came out, I think they're like it was a month before like a big Call of Duty or a big Halo or something, so everyone was afraid to release.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a whole month where nobody was releasing, and Borderlands just came out, and people were like, well, sure, I'll play a game while I'm waiting for Call of Duty. I think it may have been Modern Warfare 2.
You might be right. I feel like it's the same time frame. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone had their minds blown by Borderlands 1. So it's like it's gone from this game that was only successful because it was in that fear period to now like it's a bit of that fear period. Like I'm not going to buy Gears. I'm going to go buy Borderlands.
It's a juggernaut now. And that what really you touched on is like the time you release is so incremental where it's, you can have an awesome game, but if you hit the wrong time where you're just, competing with something that's a juggernaut, like what was Rockstar's last November that everybody fucking avoided? Red Dead. Yeah. Like you can have a Red Dead, but you avoid that like the plague because it's like you're not going to get seen by that in that time frame. But
which is crazy now too, because we can't go back to the time where it's like maybe a couple of games per month. Right. Now it's a couple of games per week.
Right.
It's crazy.
Really, we're at the end of these life cycles. So I think we're seeing all these just monster hitters. And I think you see that at the end of, I would like to pull up, say like with the PS3, Xbox 360, the end of its life cycle, I imagine it was just hitter after hitter after hitter. And that's kind of how it goes and then as we release these new consoles, there's a lot of this dipping your toe in the water, crossover stuff, a lot of third party stuff, but nothing that's like these releases that are only on each console that are huge releases.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's a good problem to have where it's like there's too much to play.
It is, but it's like literally
but now
so
it's
much
ridiculous.
money, and these are like $60
Yeah.
bangers
Yeah.
coming out.
For sure.
And it's the time factor. Like I just bought, what's it's called?
Was it a Switch? Were we
Yeah,
talking about it
Astral
last week?
Chain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I suppose like if I had tried really hard this weekend, well, not this. If I wasn't working this weekend,
Right.
maybe I could have knocked it out. But
Did you finish any more of that?
I played one more stage.
Gotcha. Is there something with the end that's controversial or some kind of like plot twist at the end?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
I'm approaching a plot twist.
Gotcha.
Well,
Well, you can see it on the horizon. Like I'm just gonna
no,
say.
they just told me it was coming.
Oh,
They're
okay.
just like, oh, well, I knew your parents, and they're not who you thought they were. I'm like,
Gotcha.
well, you could have just dropped the whole thing
Yeah.
on me instead of just teasing it. Like, it wasn't like Vader was just like, I know who your father is.
I would prefer it that way, where he's like
He's a-
really coy about it, or wants to tell you, but is just
He's a dark and
yet.
mysterious man. His voice is very raspy.
awesome. Did you get? So you didn't play any this week? It was too busy.
I played a little bit of sort of Ditto because you can really just pick
Did
it
you
up.
just make that game up? Is that a real game?
I talked about this last
Oh,
week.
you did? Okay. That's not the rolling dice game, though, right?
No. It's the one where it's kind of like Melissa Joan Hart.
You're not supposed to see that, Gavin.
It's sort of a.
It's my fan fiction that I'm writing.
It was sort of like
Oh yes,
Link to the
yes,
Past.
Yes, gotcha.
But procedurally generated every
Right.
time.
Super
And yeah, so it's a good game to pick up, adventure for a little bit, and just put it down.
Okay.
And because like there's endless content in it, you can just sort of keep doing that, which
Gotcha.
is neato. So I think it's going to be really interesting when I do finally beat the game to keep playing through and see how things changed. I think that's going to be really cool.
Gotcha.
So
There's stuff like this that makes me want to sell my car, so I'm forced to take the bus. So I now have time to like play stuff mobily, because like that's a perfect time to, if you're on a train, on a bus, or if you have your Switch, like this game, like the Creature in the Well, like that'd be a perfect. It's on Switch. It'd be a perfect
Right.
game to play while you're just commuting. But I have to physically drive everywhere.
it honestly, it was so nice doing that in Chicago because I had an hour on the train.
Yeah.
Or 45 minutes on the train, and so it was nice because between my phone and my 3DS, I played so much Smash Bros. On the train, which I was always disappointed that nobody else ever played against me. Like that seems like a thing. Like, hey, how many stops are you going? Well, let's play a few.
Right.
But that's even why when I was working on a certain game, I made a mobile level editor so I could work on levels while I was on the train.
That's smart.
But it still ended up.
Playing Smash.
It didn't work out that well, but there were
okay.
certain. It was fun playing games on the.
Yeah,
if
I
you
missed
had a
that
good one. Yeah,
Well, Gavin, a lot happened, surprisingly.
a lot of White Claw.
A lot of White Claw being ingested by people somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a huge Nintendo drop of news. They had their
That was a
direct.
lot. And then they just had a Smash Direct immediately after, which was just as big, if not bigger.
You think so? Yeah. So I'm kind of removed from Smash, but they announced a bunch of stuff that I think would, that I thought you would have a better eye on.
It
but
was huge.
So I did pull up. So GameStop, Alessandro Filari wrote, this week's Nintendo Direct, this is September 4th, showed off several games coming to the Switch in the near future. These included the remaster for Xenoblade Chronicles, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and the release of Overwatch on October 15th, which had leaked a few times but was used to kick off the live stream.
Yeah, they just jumped right into that.
I didn't watch. I just watched the stuff afterwards,
didn't?
but yeah.
It was pretty long, so if you didn't have time.
A lot of people, so I was at work, I think, but I was reading Twitter where everyone's just like losing their minds, like, oh, they just dropped, they had the best E3, this year of this, alone.
It did feel like an E3. It felt like a mini E3 just for
It seemed like a
Nintendo.
lot, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what else we got? We got Bethesda's putting out Doom 64 on Switch.
It's really cool. It's
November
supposed to be a
22nd.
great version of Doom.
Gotcha. I think we talked about you played that version. Okay, gotcha. Or you were
Or I
familiar
either
with
played
it.
that or I played Duke Nukem
64.
something version.
Gotcha.
And I'll never know.
So they showed off, Nintendo also showed off co-op brawler Super Kirby Clash. And I haven't seen footage of this.
It
But,
looks like somebody
yeah.
combined Kirby with Monster Hunter. So
Interesting.
like
Is
you
it
have a
top
boss,
down, right?
huh?
Is it top down?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's side scrolling. You're in a very small arena with a somewhat sizable boss.
Yeah.
And it's you and up to 4 people just trying to take out the bosses, and there are different classes which have different roles.
Gotcha.
So it's basically just like a Kirby-ized Monster Hunter, and it looks fun. I should play it. It's free to start.
Oh yeah, what does that mean exactly?
The fuck that means. I have a feeling at some point it's like, all right, pay.
Maybe almost like an early demo kind of thing, and then it
Yeah.
transitions into the real game.
I could see that. Which, might be better than free to play.
Right.
I don't know.
So now there's also Divinity Original Sin 2, which you're familiar with that. Have you played that at
I
all?
know of it. It's like to my understanding, it's a decent interpretation of D&D in video game form.
Gotcha.
I think it's real time until there are enemies, in which case it goes into turn-based. It has just tons of abilities and customizations.
I remember people
ways to
talking
role
about
play.
this, like that it was a really awesome release. So
It's also really cool when I watch people play it with their buddies and see everyone really get into it. It's just damn impressive, some of the
Gotcha.
scenarios that you see. So just very well made game.
now that's also releasing on Switch. We got Assassin's Creed Rebel Collection will be available on December 6th.
Yippee.
So yep, it'll contain a port of Assassin's Creed. God, is that 5? Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Isn't Black Flag almost 10 years old at this point?
You might be right. I feel maybe 8 years. It's
Yeah.
getting there. That was the one with the first combat or ship-to-ship combat, right?
Yeah.
Now this one, I'm eager to try it. I seem to have forgotten about it, and now it's coming to Switch. So it's Return of the Oberdin. It's getting a Switch port this fall.
That's
That's the one that looked like a Game Boy.
It's too bad that you can't play the Switch with this like a Wii U, because it'd be nice to have your list.
Yeah.
Because in this game you have a list of all the passengers. So, or you have like this book, right? So it'd be nice if you could flip through the book
Oh, okay.
in your hand,
Yeah.
and then be watching the game. But it's
I see. Using that separate screen kind of
like a Wii U,
right.
yeah. But yeah, really gorgeous game.
Super unique art style to me. Like I don't know if I see a lot of stuff like this.
No, and the storytelling, the story of what happens to the ship is very cool. But just the puzzle of trying to figure it all out at the end was just like, nope.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I
wanna
got
do any
the
of this.
easy ones and I'm out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got there's plenty of big news on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, like Fatal Fury's Terry Bogard coming to Smash. Now, Fatal Fury is that's a similar like Street Fighter-esque kind of fighter. Is that what it is?
Yeah, a lot of people are salty because he's kind of just Ken too.
Sure.
Ken with a hat, which honestly, that was my feeling. I'm like, this looks. We've already got all these Fire Emblem characters that look exactly alike. Why don't we start throwing in these fighting game
there you go.
characters that all look exactly alike?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because all the other ones have like the sword and they're kind of interchangeable, right?
Yeah, it wasn't for me, but that's fine. I was really hoping they showed Geese from Tekken on there.
Oh.
And I just like the look of Geese. Like
Now, is that which guy's that? I always think of with Tekken, that old guy with
just Google it real quick.
Fu
You'll see
Manchu.
him. Yeah, he's like I think he's an American guy. He's just fucking huge and jacked, and he's got like this cool karate gi.
Yeah,
And he just looks fucking cool.
for sure.
But whoever it is that's in the game,
Does he have 20-pack abs? What's going on there? Jeez.
but he's cool. And actually, when you watch him play Tekken, like I don't really enjoy watching Tekken tournaments too much, but watching him up there, he's pretty cool to watch.
Okay.
He's a little bit slower, and he hits like a truck.
Gotcha. Let's see. Now they announced with Smash, they were announcing another DLC pack, right? Like that was further than planned.
They're not done,
That's pretty cool.
which is neato. And
Yeah.
I'm sure killing Sakurai on the inside.
Sure. Or maybe at this point he can like detach and have a team work on the DLC characters.
Right.
It's like, hey, I got it to work. It's ready. You guys now take it over.
Right. I think he's just such a, and in this case, I don't mean this in a bad way. I think he's such a control freak.
Right. Right.
And wants to make sure it's up to his standards.
I would imagine
that he's not gonna let it just go.
And that's where you get the quality, is that he's willing to put himself into it. But yeah.
Yeah, for a guy who, if I remember correctly, hasn't made that many games,
Gotcha.
but
he's a
he
Smash
makes
guy.
some good. He
Yeah.
makes some damn good.
For sure.
So
This one, I forgot. I did get to try this out over the week. So another big piece of news from the Direct was that SNES games are finally coming to the Switch's Nintendo Online service.
mm-hmm.
So a batch of 20 SNES games is now out, if you're a Switch Online subscriber, getting you access to Breath of Fire, Star Fox, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, which is, that's my jam, it's my game, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts, among others. Much like the NES games, you'll be able to use saves, and handy rewind feature and new online multiplayer functionality is available. They also released that Switch controller that was rumored.
I can't believe they have online multiplayer.
Yeah, I haven't tried that, but that's an option on the thing. So yeah,
That's amazing. They're so like that would make like. All right, who's on the list here?
Gotcha. Yep. So we got Brawl Brothers, Demon's Crest, Joe and Mac 2, Kirby Dream Land 3, Star Fox, Super EDF Earth Defense Force, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Super Puyo Puyo 2, Super Tennis, Breath of Fire, F-Zero, Kirby's Dream Course, Pilot Wings, Stunt Race FX, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Soccer, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past.
So not that much they can be playing multiplayer. I think it'd be interesting.
F-Zero.
I don't imagine they do it, but it'd be really cool with Super Mario, because somebody has to be basically running the game, and I assume they're almost just streaming it to their game, or I don't really know how it would work.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can play offline. Is that... Yeah. Or maybe with the multiple, I guess with multiplayer, you obviously have to play online.
Right. It'd be cool with Mario World if like sort of one person was more running the game, and then when it's the other person's turn, it becomes the other person is more running the game.
Okay, like it switches back to them.
Yeah, it'd be really cool, but I doubt that's what they're doing. Yeah, we'll be curious to see how the latency works out. This does remind me of something I always wanted to with an emulator that I haven't seen, and it'd be great to get it on this console if you did Game Boy with online networking, because I would love to play Pokemon, like battle it out Pokemon, but online would be yeah.
Really, I mean, the sky's the limit. It's up to them if they want to, actually put forth and create something like that. I find it interesting because now the whole idea when the Switch was early on, what was the marketplace going to look like for downloading old games? Because we've downloaded all of these games a million times. Like Super Mario World, I think I've downloaded maybe 7-8 times on whatever, Wii or 3DS. And so now they're kind of going away from that, but now it's making that online subscription more enticing with the fact that now when you buy that, you have all these games.
So you do get those for free with the...
You do, yeah. So as long as you have their, which is dirt cheap, it's like $2 a month, and you can pay for the year for sure. But and then if you have Twitch Prime, you get a year of this for free as well. You can like link your accounts. So I mean, it's a no-brainer. But I found that interesting how they're deciding to, rather than have you buy this stuff again, which they could make money, but maybe it's the idea is to have more of a subscription base, more subscribers, going forward. Maybe there's more money in that, going that route.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, so they're doing that. Do you think, so maybe Game Boy could be a possibility, porting all those? With the next year, could we see Super Mario? Could we see the 64 iteration of this where you get all those?
64 is harder to emulate.
But I imagine they would have the ability to do this, right? Who else can do it?
Well, that being said, they put on like that. What was that?
Is it one of the super ones?
Stunt Race FX, which I believe was notoriously hard to emulate due to some of the chips on the cart itself.
Gotcha.
So if they can get that, I mean, I'd kill for a Conker's Bad Fur Day on there. Not that that's going to happen because Rare owns it.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I did feel weird about watching the Smash Direct.
Forgot about that.
Sakurai is sitting there and he's just like, you might think this is weird, but it is a Microsoft product, and we recommend that people go out on Xbox Live and download the Rare pack so that they can play Banjo-Kazooie. And like everyone in the background is laughing, and I'm like, well, that makes it feel like you're just giving Microsoft the finger.
I didn't see the laughing part. I saw that, and it was interpreted online through other people that it was like a nod and like kind of a cool move to like switch it or pass it to them. I didn't realize it was maybe more of a funny take, or like they were...
I don't think it was intended to be a funny take, but people were laughing in the background.
Gotcha.
It's like bad timing, guys.
Right. Which I saw that online. It was trending like in Japan, the fact that he mentioned, hey, go play Xbox.
Right.
But that's also just an idea of their relationship now. They're allowing each other to like trade these properties and work together in Nintendo and Xbox. Or Microsoft, rather.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Microsoft buys Nintendo. That's the next...
Dang. I don't know if I see that anymore with these huge companies merging. Like, yeah. If anything, more companies are getting into the game, like, say, with Stadia and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So they had that. And I played a little bit of my game of life, I guess, GO2L is Super Mario World. That's my favorite game ever, so I played a little bit of that.
Nice.
But yes. Now, Gavin, moving on from some Nintendo news. There's some Last of Us 2, not rumors. There's actually some legit news coming out. So they're going to host a media event on September 24th in Los Angeles to show off something. Now, I feel like this has got to be them announcing a date, and they're apparently showing off footage too. But they're getting close to releasing this thing, I feel like.
It's going to be weird to see because last time they showed it, I want to say, I've forgotten more than I can remember, but I want to say like the gameplay looked a little too good to be true, which is the way people are moving. But they were doubling down on it. They're like, no.
Yeah.
That's the way the movement works. So we'll see what it looks like.
That's true. How much are they mixing in these other cutscenes right into gameplay? Is it on PS4 Pro versus regular PS4? I'm not sure. They did, so it was the PlayStation Experience 2016. They showed off a teaser trailer, and then there was footage on there's footage 2 years ago that they showed off of the actual gameplay. No, this was last E3 that Sony was at. So yeah, about 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
They showed off that extended footage. But so Jeff Keighley, who does the Game Awards, tweeted that he'll be there, and so they'll finally show off. We'll get an actual release date. This was rumored a bit ago. So Jason Schreier from Kotaku, he really kind of leaks a lot of news. And he was talking about how he had heard the goal was for early or late 2019 release, but they had to push it to early 2020. And so they're looking like a February-ish kind of release. That's the rumor. We'll see if that's what they announce. Sure. But I'm pretty stoked. Yeah. This is and really the last of Us released at the end of the PlayStation 3's lifetime as well. So this is kind of it's same kind of mode. I'm pretty stoked for that. I don't know. Did you still haven't played the first Last of Us, right?
I played like maybe halfway through.
Gotcha.
But
you got to get in there.
It was the biggest problem was my disk drive. So if I died, it would load for about 10 minutes.
Well, that sucks.
And it made it really hard to experiment.
Right.
And if I died multiple times in quick succession, I was probably loading more. So
dang.
Yeah, it was the disk drive on my PlayStation 3 was pretty shit towards the end.
Was it just hovering with like the fan going so
I
loud?
really don't know. It could barely play. I don't think it can play Blu-rays. It can barely play a DVD. Like it went bad. And I even got it. It was replaced for my birthday one year.
Oh, okay.
And it still just had problems.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it they kind of iterated and changed the console? Was it like that last one they released with where the kind of cover came up? Gotcha.
Oh, not the cover came up, but it wasn't the big fat boy PlayStation 3.
Okay. I see.
It was the, whatever.
Gotcha. So we also have Borderlands coming out next week.
Woo.
Some of the this Friday.
Yes.
Dang it. So there's some reviews coming out early on.
Mm-hmm.
Right now has a Metacritic of 85, which is still pretty good. But I just wanted to pull up some of the.
I know Destructoid loved it.
Yeah. So I have a PC Gamer right now has a pretty low score, 63. But I don't know how much to really read into those reviews early on. But I found this kind of weird. So we talked about Jason Schreier from Kotaku. He wrote today, Borderlands 3's review situation sure is strange. So, and I'll paraphrase from it, but apparently they didn't get an early copy like they usually do. So with the review sent out for Borderlands 3, other outlets, they got these, not Steam, but they got these Epic accounts with different builds ready to go. And so they would then choose whatever build they want to play so they can kind of jump forward in the game or have these different options. But because it was tied, for security reasons, it was tied to those Epic accounts, there was a lot of issues with people losing progress, and Kotaku just didn't even get a build of the game early on. So they were also kind of salty about that. But I don't know if it was for whatever reasons. Apparently according to Epic, it was for security reasons. They just didn't want these codes getting leaked. But so they still have yet to review the game, Kotaku. But so I'll read a little bit from this. So Borderlands 3 reviews hit the internet this morning, but only at a select few websites, thanks to a bizarre scenario that Publisher 2K says is in place because of security concerns. Typically, video game reviewers work off early retail copies of the games provided by publishers. They can be either digital or physical, and they can function like any other game you'd buy in a store. In the case of Borderlands 3, which comes out Friday for PC and consoles, things are unusual. Rather than sending out codes for the game, 2K gave reviewers special Epic Games Store accounts loaded up with early work-in-progress builds of Borderlands 3, a bizarre scenario that we've never seen before. As Polygon explained in their review, 2K Games and Gearbox didn't send out review codes for Borderlands 3. Instead, they set up reviewers up with a new Epic Games Store accounts with the game unlocked, and gave us few warnings about the game being a work in progress. They asked us to stay away from the DirectX 12 implementation, for example, and told us that our progress in these builds may or may not carry over to the final game. Kotaku requested access to Borderlands 3 for review, but did not get access. A representative for 2K cited security concerns and told us we'd get code for the much-anticipated loot shooter on Thursday, September 12th, the day before it launches. We'll do our best to get you coverage as soon as we can. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the website VG247 reports that they and their fellow European video game outlets also haven't gotten codes for security reasons. This all comes a month after 2K and its parent company Take-Two went after a YouTuber who was posting leaked information about the game. So they might just be a bit more paranoid to keep stuff from leaking.
I mean, is Kotaku like known for leaking stuff?
I don't believe so. So I don't know if this is higher up issues with, like they don't want to, work with whatever personalities that work there, or it's security reasons, or, what have you, or it's legit. It's just actual things that fall through the cracks. But, outlets like IGN for sure have it, like the actual big reviewers. But I
mean, part of me almost is like, was Kotaku the one that broke the story about Randy and like the porn thing?
Gotcha. I know they talked about it. Right. It might be a little bit of that. And he's very vocal, so I wouldn't doubt he just walks into the office and goes, hey, cut that code getting sent out, and I don't want to work with them. I know apparently, so Jason Schreier is pretty public about Bethesda's their main VP, their main guy who's pretty he's pretty vocal. They have is it not Randy Pitchford? That's this guy.
Right, that's all I can think of.
Right. But apparently they have beef where they won't let them into any early access events for any Bethesda games. They have an issue with Kotaku in general because of whatever negative views they've had on Bethesda games in the past. So they kind of take that stuff to heart. So it isn't always, and it seems like in the video game industry, but apparently that does happen.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes.
Interesting.
Kevin, you saw this picture early. How do you feel about this picture of it's Melissa Joan Hart playing a Sega Dreamcast?
Okay.
At a kiosk.
Sega's 20th anniversary of the Dreamcast.
Today's the 20th anniversary.
You know what? And I've talked to other people who have the same origin story. She's the reason I got into game development.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know.
You're watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and then Salem came on screen.
I'm watching Clarissa Explains It All.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you remember, but in Clarissa Explains It All, she was a fucking game developer in her spare time. So she would take whatever was going on.
I remember her working on something
in her life and turn it into a video game. So like she turned 16 and is going to take her driver's test. So she makes like a Mario Kart, but it's all with her and her family, or like a platformer. And she made all these really cool video games. And as a little kid, I'm like, I don't see how that's possible, but I want to do that so badly.
I have erased this from my mind until you started talking about it. That's crazy.
She was my idol as a kid because she'd just make little video games.
Yeah.
With whatever.
I vaguely remember this. Was she like copying, pasting like actual pictures of her family though? I feel like I remember.
Yeah, they were like their heads and stuff.
Yeah. I remember her brother like doing something, like eating something or just being an asshole in the game that she made.
Look up.
Right. It would just be footage from Clarissa Explains It All, right?
Yeah.
But like I looked at the intro and I could not find
Clarissa Explains It All computer games?
Gotcha. Well, I think it's going to be a game based on the show, but I completely forgot about this. So she was developing stuff on her just on the side, just separate from everything, like or it would be like her diary, basically, right?
Yeah, it'd be like her diary, or just like the way she coped with stuff was turning it into a video game.
That's insanely awesome. I feel like more people need to talk about that,
right? So,
because I feel like you do that now, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're patronizing," or like you're trying to obviously shove in something into like a, I don't know, so that there's maybe more like of a. Not a stigma, but like to bring in, there's more like this inclusivity kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you did that now, it would be like people would be very critical of it. But this was done and no one cared at all about it.
I didn't give a shit. I just thought it was cool.
It was just a cool thing, like it should be. But I like how no one gave a shit.
Also, talk about that top right there, because that is on fleek. That needs to be back on the market.
That is very 90s. Dang. Ooh. Wow. I forgot about that. And the only reason why I posted or pulled this up is because this is very late 90s to me, so you have Sabrina playing the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But
that is
that's awesome.
the epitome of that happening.
That's good that you happen to watch that show and then you got
I think
inspired.
this is the perfect time for Sega to announce Power Stone for the Switch. Just saying, or no balls. That's
I've never played Power Stone.
It's like it was Smash Bros before Smash Bros.
Oh, okay.
But it was 3D instead of like 2D gameplay.
It was a Dreamcast game?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I've been told by many people that it's super fun.
Mm.
And I think I want to say like the Power Stone, like you were collecting these Power Stones and that essentially gave you your like final Smash.
Okay.
Sort of. But I've never played it, so I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
It was just cool looking.
I mean, there was a lot of cool releases on Dreamcast. Did you ever have one?
Me, no.
Yeah.
I always went to my buddies to play it, and he had a bunch of games that, boy, would my parents not let me play. Well, it's kind of funny too because we brought it to like a youth group video game night, and we were playing like Spawn and shit on it, which was a fucking sweet ass first person shooter where you were playing different characters from the Spawn universe.
Whoa, okay, that's
I don't know how that makes sense, but it was cool.
That's really cool. I did. This is my first console that I bought with my own actual money.
The Dreamcast.
Yeah, the Dreamcast.
I'm sorry.
Now, yes, when I bought it, maybe 6 months later, because it wasn't when it launched. It was a couple years later. When I bought it, maybe 6 months later, I remember reading in whatever game magazine at the supermarket that they were discontinuing it. I was like, motherfucker. But it was still a dope console.
I think the too bad thing about it is like the console itself was very ahead of its time.
Yeah, so I pulled up some facts on that. Yeah,
so powerful for so long. That controller is a piece of dog shit. Like absolutely.
I want to fight you on that, but you're probably right. I mean, it's very narrow.
Into the back.
Yeah,
like, who are we? And if it just had like one more stick or was a little more ergonomic, now the Gigapet that you could plug into it was so cool.
It was.
I as a kid was like, I'm gonna play with my Sonic thing if I ever had one, but I can't afford it. Like that was just such a neat feature. I'm sure kids were begging for. I certainly was.
Yeah, I remember going to. We had. It was a big supermarket. It was Kmart. We had Kmart in town, and they had a kiosk that had Sonic Adventure playing. And I would play that demo all the fucking time. I did that
too. I played that demo like 1,000 times.
Yep. The graphics always blew my mind. But, and this is, 12-year-old me or something. Yeah. But, so the reason why I bring it up, today's the anniversary. 20 years ago is when the Dreamcast launched. It was $99.99. That's the best marketing scheme. Of course you jump on that time frame because that's the best time to do that. It's 20 years. It doesn't make any sense, but I blinked and 20 years happened. I remember, just working side jobs in the summer to get this. That's pretty.
It's these 20-year anniversaries are coming around now and making me feel so old.
Yeah.
Like I can remember that, and not just a little bit, a lot.
Like I just woke up from it. It also it makes you feel old. It also makes me feel like a lazy piece of shit because I'm thinking, what have I done in those 20 years? Nothing. Just occupy space. But so various outlets are kind of bringing back the the Dreamcast, just talking about how it was innovated, what actually happened during that time. So Engadget had a pretty cool article about it. So this is Devendra Ardwar writes, the Dreamcast predicted everything about modern consoles. So I would suggest everyone read this article, but it's just little tidbits from it. So built-in networking. I'm not sure how I spent hundreds of hours playing Phantasy Star Online on a 56K modem, but I did, and I loved every second of it. Okay, not so much the slow dial-in times and random log-offs. Not all games took advantage of the Dreamcast modem, but the few that did gave us a glimpse of a world where console connectivity would be standard. There was even a version of Quake 3 that offered multiplayer crossplay with PC gamers. Those matches went as poorly as you'd expect them. In comparison, the online support was practically an afterthought for the PlayStation 2. Sony sold modem and broadband adapter add-ons, but few games took advantage of them. Microsoft, which worked with Sega to implement Windows CE on the Dreamcast, meanwhile made broadband gaming a key feature of the original Xbox. Ethernet connectivity was built into every console, and with the launch of Xbox Live in 2002, there was finally an easy way for console gamers to play online like their PC brethren. And even without that service, the Xbox was a solid LAN gaming machine, at least based on the many hours of Halo multiplayer I clocked in college.
It is kind of strange that they mentioned that the networking part was like a later addition to the PlayStation 2, and it was crazy how big that fucking modem was.
I remember seeing that in stores. It was like a snap-on thing. Yeah,
it was a solid brick.
Yep. Yep.
It
I imagine
was
with its
huge.
own power support too, like the
It may have
Sega had those add-ons.
Which is crazy though, because we played a ton of it one summer. Because what was it, Snake Eater?
Oh yeah,
Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater Online was the funnest fucking game you ever played in your life. Like you were just getting into it. You were I want to like you were being you were. It was fantastic.
So what was the gameplay? We were sneaking around against other people.
God, I can't remember. I want to say it was like somebody was Snake, or like
Gotcha.
You're like some people are trying to sneak in and steal something, and the other people are trying to keep them away. I really can't remember.
Yeah.
I just remember, despite the absolute ass controls, but you got used to them.
Right.
It was super fun, and because of those ass controls, you could do so much shit.
Gotcha. And there was a lot of like rolling weird maneuvers, and you had your camo that you could change on the fly.
You were using your camo. You were hiding up against a wall, hoping somebody didn't notice this human-shaped piece of wallpaper
sticking out of the wall.
And sometimes they'd pass you. Oh man,
oh god,
that's cool.
Yeah, and really with that that partnership that Sega had with developing some of the issues or the components with the Dreamcast, that's what birthed the whole Xbox path that Microsoft took. I mean, it was because of their interactions with each other. They ported Microsoft CE to the Dreamcast as like a mobile or as an OS that worked on the Dreamcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I remember that sticker being on there too, and not knowing what the hell it meant when I bought it. But it was a working OS on Dreamcast.
Yeah, I was watching some people just streaming, playing some Dreamcast yesterday, and seeing people like really wax poetic about Final Fantasy Star. And it's so weird because if you look at now, it looks terrible.
Sure.
Not just graphics wise, like the gameplay. I remember seeing someone like going between squares in a courtyard fighting like one wasp at a time, and it took forever. I'm like, man, that's
like,
just terrible. But they were just like, man, at the time, like you go into an area and there are people, and you're like, I'm gonna go. Because you got a keyboard. Yeah. So you're like, I'm going to go try and talk to them. Right. And then you did, and they said shit back.
Yeah, it's such a...
What?
Like a caveman kind of way of thinking now, but yeah,
right. Now you don't want them to talk to you.
No.
It's just like, shut up. I don't want to see your penis.
Right.
I don't... not going to follow you on Instagram.
Yep. There was this glory time where, it was so new that everyone wants to talk to each other. And then we quickly realized, nope, we don't want to talk to each other. Some facts on the hardware. So the Dreamcast was the first mainstream system to use a component you'd typically find in computers, a DirectX compatible GP. The original Xbox wasn't far off from a typical PC.
DirectX, man, it was Microsoft. Holy shit.
And that's where their partnership kind of came off. With a custom Pentium 3 CPU and NVIDIA NV2A graphics, with the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, Microsoft and Sony opted for custom PowerPC processors and NVIDIA ATI graphics, respectively. The current generation consoles, meanwhile, are practically running PC gaming hardware with custom AMD CPUs and GPUs. Really, that's just to show like they were kind of the first to really try and mimic PC hardware so that those games could be ported easier. And then PS3 went, oh yeah, that's cool. We're going to go this other way and make our own cell chip.
Cell chip.
Yeah. I remember playing Shenmue 2 on this thing. I played, Soul Calibur, both Sonics.
Shenmue 3.
Yeah, there's a news article about it, but it's coming out. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, but there's issues with refunds that people are whining about. I don't know. That's right, it's a game that I don't. I mean, it's a fan favorite, but if it's gonna play like the original, when I think back of me playing that original, I wasted a lot of time just walking around talking to people looking for sailors. It was a lot of nothing that happened.
It was a lot of nothing, but at the time, it was like the most realistic nothing you could do.
There's all these options and stuff you could fiddle with, and
I can drive a forklift.
Right.
For a living. I can pick up these books and move them somewhere else. For a living. I got to pay a rent in this game. That was one I always remember. I was hanging out with my buddy Ryan, and we had I think we had purchased like 4 copies of Shenmue that summer trying to play it because it seemed like every copy of Shenmue came pre-scratched.
I think there's multiple discs too, right?
There were multiple discs, and we could never find a disc 2 that works for sure. But disc 1, we had a hell of a time. So we purchased so many copies.
You rented them,
right? And we had rituals, right? So we were doing like NES, like pull it out, blow on it, put it back in. Because if it bugged up, it just say, hey, clean your disc, and then put it back in and keep going. which was really cool. But so we do all sorts of weird rituals, and I always remember the time that he pulled it out, spit on it, rubbed it on his nipple, put it back in, and it fucking worked.
Whoa.
We did that like every time for a while because we had tried everything, and then he did that, and it worked. So
And that's when your mom walks in, and you're just, well, we're just playing the game.
it's only crazy if it doesn't work.
Yeah. You got to talk to the sailors. Hold on. That's awesome. Now you mentioned like being able to pull the disc out while it's spinning. So, is that a new idea at that time where they're like loading stuff onto the RAM to let you do that?
Man, I can't imagine working with like, because that was the thing back in the day. Like nowadays, if you press the eject the disc button, your game goes, well, I guess you're not playing anymore.
Right. Yeah.
But back then, like if somebody pulled out the disc, because you'd be like going between discs, like it had to make it work.
Gotcha.
I don't know how you do that nowadays.
I don't know.
You just install it to the hard drive and then patch it with the next disc.
Yep.
Like,
interesting. Whew. A few last little tidbits on the Dreamcast, and we'll let it finally go to rest. The Dreamcast controller accessory, the VMU.
and that's when I told her, take the money and leave, or you end up like the others.
Wow, Gavin, you really admitted to that on live. That's crazy. So we're talking about the
Weren't we
greatest
just
console.
talking about this?
About the greatest console?
Oh, no, the article that you had.
I want to show you things right when they happen, and I hate that you see them early on. It's like I'm changing, and you keep walking in on me naked, and it's like, damn it. I want to show you this, but I want it to be
How am I going to seduce you later if it's all seen?
Yes, exactly.
Goodness.
So yeah, we got Melissa Joan Hart. So the last little bit about the beautiful console that was the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was also the first console to use a higher capacity optical disc than CDs, the 1.2 gigabyte GD-ROM. If you know.
Goddamn ROM.
Yeah, goddamn. Last thing, with the cable accessory, you could also get a 480p output for many games. It wasn't HD, but it was the closest we could get until HD TVs went mainstream around 2005.
I don't know about that. That's pretty cool.
There's a lot of aftermarket little gadgets that will get HD or convert to HD for that console. Like there's a lot of nerds that like love messing with
People that do that. Yeah, there's HD 64 outputs, like all sorts of weird shit like that, which I don't really know how that works. Yeah. 80 minutes. Okay. We'll keep going down.
Once again, you keep seeing my privates before I want to show you them. And don't take that out of context. But
not till after marriage.
So we have last week there was this rumored Resident Evil project that they were going to announce. So they finally showed off a trailer. I haven't watched this yet, so we're going to watch this trailer.
What's his face?
This looks like Mr. X, Mr. whatever his name is.
Mr. X.
Yeah. So Project Resistance revealed as team-based Resident Evil game. This is from Julia Lee of Polygon. So we're going to watch this actual trailer. I haven't seen it, so we're going to do what the kids call, which is a good old react, which I just coined the phrase right now.
Why does the cell phone not have internet? Where do you pull up the apps?
So this is CG, it looks like. We're just watching the footage now, but
It might not be.
I would say it's just giving you a feel of it, right? So 4 people, multiplayer, right?
Sure. I hope so.
You're walking into a tech facility.
Ooh, can one person be like controlling everything?
You might be right, because they're showing Mr. X adjusting stuff like hazards.
That'd be fun. I actually played a game like that once. There was like a Diablo style game. So it was the dungeon master versus 4 people. And it's interesting because you get so many points per minute.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times people like build up all their points and then just engage people at like a choke point or something like that. And it was pretty fun. Or you try and like slowly damage them. I don't know. It was pretty technical. It was fun. So I could see that working really well for a third person, first, whatever it is. I hope that's what it is. That'd be fun.
It's got robot hands. Oh, I see. Probably Wesker controlling Mr. X. Gotcha. Dang.
Holy shit.
Nice.
That would be pretty cool too if like, so you're just controlling everything the whole time and then it comes to the boss battle at the end of the level and you are the boss and you get to control it more hands-on.
That could be cool.
That's nice.
So yeah, it does look like exactly what you're saying, where it's almost like what was that game where you could play as the monster or the people trying to hunt the monster? It was I think the first to kind of bring those in.
Not Prey. be evolved.
Evolved, yeah, or
Yeah.
Evolve. It was much. I feel like I get the same vibes where you're playing as either the person controlling these hazard rooms, initiating different like enemies. We saw the liquor jump out and zombies, and then you're playing as the team member. But it looks cool. This also doesn't look like anything I really want to play. I don't like that style of game personally.
Really?
Yeah, I love that. I'm sure they're using that same engine. I love the last remake. This is really cool, but I don't think that's anything for me. At least this initial trailer. This doesn't get my dick hard at all. But I'm interested. I'm kind of like
Not even like a half chub.
I'm waking up a little bit, but I'm more. I want to see what they actually show off.
Like you're getting up, like off the bench at the gym, and you're like, "Is it there?" And you're like, "No." You're like, "Okay, so it's not visible. We're fine."
Not visible, but there's a tingling somewhere.
There's a tingle in your jingles.
Tingle, yes.
Okay.
But I like that they're just exploring that because that last one was so cool to me. RE7 was so cool. We're seeing a resurgence where this is just they're bringing back that classic. Just the excitement for Resident Evil properties because it really died with, was it 6? Where they really just shit the bed?
Yeah.
But that's cool. So more info at TGS, which is very soon. I want to say it's the 12th of September. That leads me to our next story where at TGS is where, for some reason, that's where they're going to show off 80 minutes of Death Stranding. This is at TGS 2019.
Tokyo Game Show?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense because he's a Japanese developer.
Yep.
God, 80 minutes.
Right. So I pulled up this article from GameStop. Richard Wakeling writes, the Tokyo Game Show kicks off this week, running from September 12th to the 15th at the Makuhari Messe in Chiba, Japan. Developer, I'm sure I said that right.
A hell of a sentence.
Developer Kojima Productions will host 2 extensive gameplay presentations at TGS for its next game. The first is set to take place on September 12th and will be roughly 50 minutes long, introducing the overall gameplay flow of Death Stranding. The second occurs the following day and will run for 30 minutes. There's also a third presentation on September 15th, featuring the game's Japanese voice actors, but very little gameplay is likely to be shown, and this is intended as more of a fan appreciation day. Game director Hideo Kojima will be present at all 3. So if you, after 80 minutes of this game, if we don't know what this game is at that point, then what's going on? But I think we will. That's a lot.
How soon is it coming out?
It's in November. It's very soon.
Okay, so I don't have that much longer to go.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And this is gameplay. That is what they're saying they're gonna show off. So that's pretty interesting. Now that means that is there so much replayability where they're just like the last Metal Gear, where you can show off a lot of footage and it's not really gonna affect like storyline. There's like side stuff to be done.
Well, but I also know it has certain like Dark Souls elements to it. So like,
with the multiplayer, or
right?
Like,
so can you kind of customize your build and play all sorts of different ways?
Right. But there's some kind of interaction with some kind of greater game where your actions are seen, or you can see the effect of somebody's gameplay in your gameplay. I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but
I'm calling it now. This is just gonna be the next Animal Crossing. Like that's why they don't care, because you're going to want to get in here and customize your house so that you can get particular individuals to come over.
There you go. Yep.
And fuck them.
It's always the goal.
It's Norman Reedus.
That Tom Nook character.
I don't care that I'm playing Norman Reedus. I'm going to seduce Norman Reedus in the game.
Now, did you see they had Keanu Reeves over at their main developer studio for
that's interesting.
Kojima. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I feel like they got everything on hand. They could pop him in the mocap suit. He could do something cool and then, pop out. But I'm interested to see. I feel like it's very likely that he'll at least work with them at something in the future, because the fact that they show up and kind of do that together. But that could be cool.
It's neat enough.
If Keanu Reeves needs an even better year, like he's gonna jump on there too. He's already dominant. He's like the best human. I don't know, if I think of if we need an ambassador for humans to talk to the aliens when they arrive, we need to send Keanu.
I don't think we can, though, because he talks so slow.
Does he?
That people like the aliens are gonna be like, "Oh,
like, all right, nuke him. We're not gonna listen."
Like,
to this
and
guy
then
anymore.
they talk to the rest of us, and they're like, "What? We don't. Oh God, we weren't prepared for." Why did you send the one that talks at half speed?
But he's the coolest one, so that's what's
right. He is the coolest one. Also, possibly already an alien. So
I wouldn't doubt it. Him, Prince, Freddie Mercury. So on the
did you quick note on Prince? So there was this weird, and you can find it on YouTube. There was like this art exhibit where they had Freddie Mercury come and perform, and
Okay.
they captured him with like this special camera that apparently was like H-fucking-D. In
At
a
the time?
where that was not even at all
Like NASA had it or
reminiscent of a
something?
thing. Like I don't even think they had IMAX at the time. I don't know why they captured him with this high.
'Cause
I
it's
don't
Freddie
know how
Mercury.
it worked, but it's so weird seeing him in a resolution that didn't exist at the time. Like it looks like you just found the best double.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize what Freddie Mercury exactly looks like, and that is
Well, now there's various stages of his life, right? Because he's
Right.
on his prime, like performing at whatever Live Aid, and then he's succumbed to cancer or God, what?
I think this was in his prime.
okay. Gotcha. Because
Which-
there's
which
various.
Makes
Yeah.
me think if that man can be a sex symbol, by God, I can be a sex symbol.
Well, he had some teeth situation going on. Like
Boy,
the third Google search is Freddie Mercury teeth.
Yeah.
But he was so badass it didn't matter. Like,
oh God,
that's
yeah.
what it-
Well, he also, he still has one of the like most legendary ranges of all time,
Right.
which is why it's always weird seeing someone try and cover him. Like I remember Fall Out Boy tried to cover him. It's like,
Good luck.
he couldn't do the range,
Yeah.
and it was like, well, obviously,
Right.
he picked a song where he used the whole thing.
Gotcha.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of the biopic they did. They had the dude from Mr. Robot play him.
Yeah.
Which I think, looking at the trailers, it looked like he did a good job. But originally, years ago, it was supposed to be the guy who plays Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen. And see, I always had the opposite view. I thought he could have knocked it out of the park. He was such a weird-looking guy, and they're going for more like playing into his actual history and his life behind the scenes. But they decided to leave that project behind. But I always liked envisioning what his take would have been if he would have actually played him.
Have you seen the trailer for the new movie
With Borat?
Sacha Baron Cohen's?
Yeah, it's
in?
like super serious. Yeah.
The fuck? It was somebody
looks interesting.
put the perfect headline on it. It's like he passes up going undercover to play a movie where his character goes undercover. It's like, oh,
Yeah, basically.
well, shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a Netflix movie possibly too. It looks really cool.
Yeah,
but I
looks
just
good.
saw it the other day. Yeah. Now we were talking about Kojima. Now this brings me to another, just a kind of little fun tidbit about PT.
Yeah, I saw this earlier. I didn't watch the footage, but
Me either. I imagine it's still terrifying. But I have PT on my PlayStation. It sounds like
still
a
have it?
disease that I've announced that I have.
you
I
got to
have
keep
PT.
it though, because
I do, yeah.
once you delete it, it's gone forever.
Exactly. Yeah. I know people when that happened were selling their PS3s. I don't know if anybody bought them, but on eBay for like $1,000, just so because PT was on there. But so yeah, just over the weekend, YouTube creator Lance McDonald put up this video explaining that there was digging into the files that there was actually some more information on the main antagonist and how it's
You
always
found
with you.
this.
Yeah. So there's another YouTube series where they break the walls of games and just kind of float the camera around. I forget the name of it, but it's actually really cool. This is something separate.
Yeah.
But either way, it's pretty dope. So I'm going to find this.
Apparently, people are saying like really the only thing like because people on I saw it on Gamma Sutra,
Yeah.
and devs were kind of discussing it a little bit, and basically it kind of came to really all it kind of maybe does is give you the weird shadow sometime where your flashlight or whatever.
Oh, yep. And somebody mentioned that. Yeah.
yeah.
So here's the actual quote from the tweet. Lance McDonald writes, "She actually attaches to the player's back as soon as you get the flashlight. Here I demonstrate how you can see some strange shadows. I then lock the camera in place and walk forward, showing how she's always there following you."
Yeah. The other thing people pointed out is that it's very strange that it's a high fidelity model, like a cutscene style model. And
Right.
it
Why would you
doesn't
need that?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have that high fidelity when it's always off screen.
Although, you know what? There's scenes, because I played one time basically because I was too terrified. But there's scenes where if you do something, she will basically come like from right behind you. Like it just takes over your view. So maybe that's why they have the high end model, because she's always ready to go. But there's times where she just jumps in front of you quickly. Oh, God.
What the fuck?
Jesus.
Don't.
Is it actually normally? So that's okay. So they're showing from behind this is the players from behind the player. Yeah, because the flashlight is there. Okay. So that she's always behind you. Because as a player, you just have your hands basically and your foot,
Yeah.
whatever's visible on your model.
It's strange.
Jesus. It's so terrifying. That game is insanely scary.
It's so creepy. It makes me want to throw up. Like that's
yeah.
a weird
Yep.
sensation.
We should try and play this game.
Oh God, I'd scream like a little girl,
That's exactly what
like
I
a
wanna
little
play
girl
with
with a full size set of lungs. Just. Ooh.
you. Yep. Your little
Terrifying.
PTs will shrink into your body after playing this. But I've tried every
PT
couple of
stand
months.
for puny testicles. Like,
Yep. Yeah, there you go. I knocked it to you.
I know people that like are like immune to scary games. They're scared of this game. So
Oh yeah. And it's just that one room, but there's a series of stuff you have to do right to reach the end. I don't even know what the end is, but it's a puzzle that you have to figure out. Meanwhile, everything you do, triggers something. And yeah, it's terrifying.
Wasn't this free too?
This was free. Yeah, this was just like and it was just dropped.
Demo.
It was just released, a demo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is when Kojima was going to take over Silent Hill and redo that with Norman Reedus, and that fell through because of Kojima or Konami, their issues they had with each other. But
I can't even imagine how you take something that small of just like this hallway that infinitely loops,
yeah,
and expand it. Oh, by the way, Sora Ditto, we should totally play that co-op sometime.
yeah, sounds good. Is it on? It's on console and Switch, or
I think
where
it's
are you
on
playing it?
everything.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Also, one of these games made in Game Maker, randomly enough. Don't know how they fucking did it, but made in Game Maker somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that allowed them, I'm sure, to port it a little more easily.
gotcha. We did talk about Shenmue 3. So Shenmue 3, there's a little bit of news. It's had some issues recently because they switched over to the Epic Game Store, right, at the last bit of their before release. So Shenmue 3 refunds will only be available for a limited time. Refunds will only be processed during the survey period. Shenmue 3's developer WiseNet announced that Kickstarter backer surveys will be going out in mid-September, and with them refund requests for anyone who doesn't want an Epic Game Store version of Shenmue 3. But know that refund requests will only be accepted during the 2-week survey period. So there was a lot of issues people had with the fact that they were first kickstarted and they switched over to the Epic Game Store exclusive. I imagine it was a deal made to help secure more funds. I don't know.
I guess that's sort of the frustration. So the way Tommy Refines kind of explained it recently, the coder for Super Meat Boy, was that like they basically say like, hey, we're going to give you enough money that you made your money back and a bit more, right? So with Kickstarter, I imagine that it takes away most of the risk out the gate.
So it can be done in the first place, or
right.
attempted.
So taking the risk out, and then on top of that, also taking the risk out, that kind of is shitty.
Gotcha. I see.
To me. Anyway, so I could see if it wasn't kickstarted, I'd be a little bit more on board. But the fact that,
But then is that project started in the first place if it doesn't have those funds kickstarted in the first place?
Yeah,
like
it's also going to be a terrible game. So we have that on top of it.
Well, I don't know. It's just not for. I know it's not for me. But maybe they knock it out of the park. I don't know if this is going to sell gangbusters, but it is what it is.
I think it's going to be a fun thing to play when we're drunk one of these days.
It's possible. I think you already burned the fans that were waiting for this game, the ones who were going to buy it day one by changing that exclusivity.
Yeah.
You burned them in the first place, and they're the ones who are that diehard for the project and in general. So it seems weird to alienate already that small base that you have.
Right.
So I mean, maybe they bounce back. Who knows?
Do they?
Right. I don't know.
I mean, they've waited long enough. If these people actually just aren't looking at it through rose-colored glasses.
And see, I still have the mindset of just play it. I don't care whether it's Epic, whether it's who, what, where. You play it, and big deal.
I am finally getting, if I haven't mentioned it yet, I am frustrated now though with Epic's store. It is really just a poor store.
You mentioned that. I did hear something maybe a week ago how they were going to try and revamp it, but you're right, because it's organized like garbage and you can't find what you want. And,
it's like trying to flip through a catalog with no page numbers or no like quick way to get to something. Like you either know how to spell the game.
No misspelling or did you mean kind of thing.
Yeah, like you got to get it right, and that's the only way to get to something quick. There's no cart, so you can't buy a bunch of things at once. I guess people have mentioned that like they bought 5 games, just one after one after one, and their credit card flagged because they assumed it was So
and that's basic stuff for a marketplace for an online store. Like they really need to fix that.
It's not great.
Or if you misspell something, they go, "Did you mean Fortnite?" and it just starts downloading V-Bucks for you or something.
And maybe it has that. I don't think it has that though.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, we'll see how that shapes up for Epic and for Shenmue 3. Now, this don't need to spend a lot of time with it, but PlayStation says the DualShock's X button is actually called cross.
Well, they're allowed to be wrong.
So I do remember this a while ago that it was wonky, the actual terms for each symbol, but this kind of came up again. So it's triangle, circle, cross, square. Is the
Anyone
official-
who says cross is a cop.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And they all symbolize something too. I remember there was a Did You Know Gaming where the circle was Earth and various other like yes and no with the cross and with the circle or with the triangle. There's all these like symbolizations with each symbol and what they mean, but they have like this super deep meaning to it.
If cross is called X, then what are you calling circle?
Right. Yeah. So that's it kind of been making its way online, but we'll still keep playing the next one. But yeah.
I wonder if it's one of those things where maybe in Japan, like,
Yeah, maybe some translation issues or something.
Cross in context to most English speakers.
You know what? I
is
think it's
the
in Japan
cross.
where X is a super negative thing, right?
It can be. Like,
feel like that's what it
there's
was.
like if you're an American and you go up to like a bar that's like, in their opinion, Japanese only, they'll go like this and you just don't go in there.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, I feel like that might be part of it where it's like, well, we'll just call it cross. But yeah, not a big deal at all. So I'll keep playing.
it's a big deal.
Now, this is awesome for me. I haven't played any of this yet, but I love Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just dropped today a free DLC that has like 100 extra levels. So
It's free on Epic right now.
is it the entire game?
Yeah.
Nice.
I have no reason to not have that game.
Exactly. You should definitely download when you get home. So
will.
Celeste Free Chapter 9 DLC is a fond farewell to a fantastic game. This is from IGN. Tom Marks writes in depth about this, but I just wanted to pull up. There was something about 100-ish levels and just a bunch of extra content. And so I'm super eager to jump back into this because I loved the last one or the actual Celeste when it came out. It was super hard, but like I love the way they were. I love to just like break this game down where it was always hard and it seemed impossible. The more you play it, the more you're like, oh, I start to see the mechanics. Okay, and each level is like that where it's like, okay, fuck this. Every level is like, oh, fuck this. I'm throwing my controller. But then I stick with it. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they want me to do. It's still hard. You have to time it just right, and then you keep doing it, and you get it. And so when you finally climb that mountain, and there's a metaphorical mountain in the game too, when you kind of finally climb it, you just feel so awesome because you triumphed and you kept going, and it was such a great like carrot in the stick moment kind of thing where it led you along. Beautiful. I love that game.
I think the thing is, I saw somebody playing the area with this weird, like, giant head vampire landlord that's chasing you. And it looks so stupidly unfair. And I'm like, I'm never playing this game.
It seems like
I
it.
don't want to play that part.
And see, I'm not a fan of like brutally hard games. I wouldn't say this is like that. It just, every level is made to appear that way. And then once you figure out what they want you to do, it's still challenging, but it's doable. Because I'm terrible at games. I'm not, nothing. I'm not a ninja over here, but so they made you feel
the ninja.
I am the ninja.
Yeah.
But they make you feel like, oh, okay, I'm actually doing pretty good.
Sean P. Diddy Ninja Combs.
Right.
You should, by the way, one of these days watch the Game Maker's Toolkit episode on Celeste and sort of the movement and breaking down.
No, that's a YouTube series, right?
Yeah. By
I'm definitely gonna play.
all I can think of is Sean Michael Murray, but that's not even close.
Is that the
No Man's Sky guy?
No Man's Sky?
Yeah.
So, what would you say? Game Maker's Toolkit. I'm just gonna I have
Yeah.
a note to watch
Game Maker's Toolkit.
Celeste.
It's
Gotcha.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Is that?
No.
Does he narrate it?
God, that'd be
Gotcha.
weird.
That's a note for me, so I can watch that.
Yeah.
Now, Gavin, for some reason, weeks ago we talked about Tank Girl, whether it was
We
on
did,
the podcast
yeah.
or not. Now, I just saw this today. Margaret Robbie is apparently going to be in the reboot, which is like a no-brainer. That seems like perfect math to me. Just heard this is a tweet. Just heard that Margaret Robbie's company have optioned rights from MGM to make a new Tank Girl movie. Now several months into development.
Her company? Is this
apparently.
why she's on such a roll? Because she's producing these?
She's making some business fucking moves. I know with Birds of Prey, she's like co-producing it, executive producer. So she's like super involved in all these projects. So yeah, she's making bank and she's starring in them. So yeah,
like even Suicide Squad, she was probably the best part of that movie.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah,
I don't know what it is about it. Like I almost feel like she's maybe like maybe she has the same what's the guy, like not producer but like talent manager or whatever that like gets you these gigs as like the guy that does Samwise Gamgee. It's just like, have you seen him do something bad? No, you haven't.
which is that's the Lord of the Rings dude, right?
Yeah.
He was in Stranger Things and
that guy.
You've
never seen him do something bad. Like,
that's true.
So I feel like she's just got that same damn
You might be right.
manager.
Yep. Yeah, she was really good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was the Quentin Tarantino movie.
That's supposed to be good.
She was really good in that. But yeah.
You know a movie that probably no one's seen her in, but it's an amazing movie, is Whiskey Tango Foxtrot with Tina Fey.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
It's fucking good. It's
Nice.
not funny like the trailers make it look, but it's
Gotcha.
really good.
See, I'm still down for that. Like just if the story's interesting enough, like I'm still okay with that.
Yeah.
But Gavin, that's all the video game news I had for you. Now I'm still waiting on my copy of Control to ship from Amazon.
Oh shit.
So eventually,
So it's shipping from Australia.
Apparently,
is
I don't know if
what's
they're
happening.
burning the disc right
Some
now.
guy's still spitting on it and rubbing his nipple on it before he sends it
Oh, I
out.
paid extra for that. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah,
that's
you got to.
But eventually, when I get that, I want to play that with you here and like actually on the legit screen too. Sweet. But yeah, so that's all I got for you, Gavin. That's yes. I would love to find a Dreamcast again and start collecting the games.
Was Half-Life on it?
They must have ported it. I remember playing Half-Life on. No, that's
It
you're
was
right.
such
The
a big
first
deal
one.
when it made it to Xbox.
Yeah, so
I
the first
remember.
one was on Dreamcast.
What the
Yeah, and then
fuck?
Half-Life 2 was also on
Half-Life
Xbox.
1.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't spot that.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? Like I look at this collection we're looking at on Twitter right now, or
The
on
Dreamcast?
IGN right now. And it's like that's a shit ton of games, but also when I like look at my individual libraries for games, like a lot of them are that big. I
Yeah.
bought way too many games, dude. Like my
Yeah.
Xbox library is definitely that, or 360 library is definitely that big.
Do you still have a lot of physical discs that you're holding on to?
I don't think I've thrown any away.
Gotcha.
I have everything down to my N64 cartridges.
Whoa.
So-
Is it all like with you or you just have it like in storage
It's
somewhere?
in a box,
Gotcha.
so it all
That's
fits
awesome.
in my closet.
Now, I never held on to any of my childhood consoles, and I always regret that. But even the Dreamcast, years later, I took it apart for fun because I like to do that. Apparently, I'm just like on meth or something. But I took it apart for
Maybe
fun.
there's more meth in there.
Yeah, I hear it. It's talking to me. But I did that, and I tell my my family and stuff, and Megan, she always makes fun of me for it. I just for some reason I wanted to do that. I like the idea of taking things apart. It's just fun to me. But I didn't remember how to put it back together.
You
I
gotta
thought I
take
did.
pictures. That's the nice thing.
Well,
about
this was
smartphones
I don't
now.
know 2005, 2006 when I did it. So yes, I didn't have the smartphone, but I thought I could. I thought I was like, oh, I'll just remember. I'll just do in reverse. Nope.
Yeah.
But so RIP my old Dreamcast that I dissected while I was alive still. But yeah, that's quite a big category. So catalog. We're looking at the games here. I think apparently what was the key with the Dreamcast dying was the lack of third party support.
Sure.
Then I don't know if they had a lot of strong
I wanna say
exclusives.
what it was halfway through its life cycle, the PlayStation 2 came out and was just vastly
It's caught in the middle.
superior. But you got to remember, this was like N64 PlayStation 1 time when this came out.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but it was
But-
still. I mean, we talked about how it was ahead of its time with the different features and stuff. They were trying to future-proof this thing.
they
You know,
they did a
somewhat,
good
but-
job. Something on that stream I was watching of games, they played 4-player fucking NFL Blitz.
Whoa!
And I tell you what, let's take all the money that's going to Shenmue and
Yeah.
put it into a new Blitz, because that game was so stupid fun. If
Yeah.
you got first down or whatever, you stopped, you could still go up and tackle that fucking guy.
That's
Which-
awesome.
What a great feature! Like, yeah,
Yep.
you got first down. Fuck you, dude! Like body slam. We need to infuse it more. Like it was really like professional wrestling meets
Right.
football. We need
100%.
to ingrain it further and get it stupider.
Yep. Now it was always unlicensed from the NFL, right? It was just separate.
That was
Like,
licensed.
that was?
That had
Oh, I
real
thought
team
that was
names.
one
It
that
had
wasn't. Okay.
Lions. It had, I'm sure.
We'll
the
see now
Seahawks.
with the whole CTE thing with
Oh, don't license
football.
it. Don't license
Right,
it.
bet.
We don't need license.
Because otherwise that dies. But if you
Make
go,
it the Seattle Sea Chickens.
There you go.
Let's do it.
so that's how that project lives. You just go away from the actual licensed NFL teams because they're dealing with the actual real world issues. But yeah, so if they can, that's a no brainer. Like that's a great project to do to revamp. Because I never played it, but I remember watching it and it looked really fun.
Oh, you never played it?
No, and I hate sports games really. So that was the game though. It's like, oh, that looks cool. It's like an NBA Jam kind of thing.
It was exactly. It was the NBA Jam of football.
Gotcha.
And I don't care for football games, so I played the shit out of that one.
Right.
So.
That reminds me just lastly of playing Madden with my uncle. This was like we had Madden 92 or something on Sega Genesis, and there's this glitch where and we always bring this up today, but there's this glitch where if you got injured, your character would be hurt on the field, and the ambulance would go on screen, would ride on the field, and it would run you over. Just because the clipping or whatever, it always go over you, and then the paramedics will come out and try and get your body, but you're under the fucking ambulance. And we thought it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
See, that particular feature needs to make it into the new NFL Blitz.
There you go. Yep.
That would be...
It just keeps like backing. Where is he? He just keeps backing over the guy who's trying to pick him up.
He's in pieces, like, you know.
Which, why would they ever let an ambulance drive onto the field? Like,
I think they do.
I thought they carry him off or something.
Do they not? I don't know how this works.
Ever watched a football?
I've never watched a football. I know they're shaped as eggs.
Yes.
That's the sport with the scrum, yes.
I don't know what sport you're playing, Gavin. All right, Gavin, that's it. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at DrunkDevs.
Awesome. You can find us Plastic Heart Pod on Twitter, and I'm Fonzie Pants on Twitter as well. That is it for us this week, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.